Yeah, mission of Tes Amud Aleph. Last day of Tashlum is tomorrow, and this mission speaks about the concept of Tashlum. And the Gemara is going to discuss if Tashlum, when you make up something, is it, how can you categorize it? Is it that the chiyuv, the obligation of whatever you have to do now moves to a second day, and it becomes the obligation of that day, or is it just making up the obligation of the first day? The obligation stays for the first day. And the difference we'll see in the Gemara, and the Gemara is going to go back and forth a little bit, understanding that difference. So in the page, the paper that I printed out, so on top, in the Hebrew, not skip the first three lines. This is from straight out of the Rambam. Rambam is based on this Gemara, obviously. It says like this: whoever did not bring the korban of oil and the shalom chagiga. And you can bring these two korbanos any other yontif. Shalom simcha obviously comes with the simcha, so you add, but the korbanos that you have a chiyuv, you can catch up any other day. And the same thing also with Shavuos, even though we don't have a yontif now, but the Shavuos, these until tomorrow, you can catch up all the korbanos. Shenema Shivas Yom Techoigli. It says 7 days you have festivities. So basically, all 7 days you can bring these korbanos. And everything is the making up of the first day. So the Rambam right away jumps in and paskins already la lacha that for the two options that the Gemara is going to bring, we're going to go with Rabbi Yochanan's option that the making up is you're making up whatever you missed on the first day. Not that it's the other concept where every day has its own chiyuv. And it's just if you do it on the main thing is do it on the first day. If you didn't do it on the first day, the chiyuv switches to the second day. If you did it on the second day, it switches to the third day. But the Rabbi Yochanan paskins no. The first day is the chiyuv. Any day you missed, it doesn't make a difference. Second, third, fourth, it's making up for the first day. Okay, so the next halacha says omitzu lahakdim lahakiblishin. Obviously, you have to do it on the first day. Lo yigav blishin b'mishoygam mezit. If you didn't bring the korban either b'shoygam mezit, you can bring it the second day. V'cholam acher is maguna. You shouldn't purposely do it because it doesn't look nice. V'olav nema on such a person that delays it. It says noigei mimoy dasafti. As a bad lashon and tzefania, that something with the korbanos, it's not a good thing. If the entire yontif passed by and they did not bring the korban, you don't have to go back and bring the korban because it's a korban that has a specific time, and if you missed it, it's done. And this and like such mitzvahs that you miss, it says me'uvas. It's a something crooked leyuchal liskon. You cannot fix it. It's something wrong that you did, you cannot fix. Whoever did not bring, didn't bring Chagiga on the first day of Sukkot, here it brings out Sukkot specifically because Sukkot is interesting. On the last day of Sukkot, even though it's a separate yontif entirely, that has its own korbanos and its own psukim and its own halachas, you could still make up the last day of Sukkot. And Shmini says you can make up for the first day. That's why he's bringing down Sukkot. And even though the 8th is its own yontif, it can still make up for the first. This is today. That's not tomorrow. You can catch up the 7 days after Shavuos. You can catch up. You have 6 days after Shavuos to catch up. And this is from the Eibishter. It was told from Taida Chag Shavuos, Chag Mitzvah Tashlum. The Chag Shavuos is just like Chag Matzos, like Chag of Pesach to make up. Okay, so that's the halachas, and this is what we're going to discuss today. And within the Gemara, we're going to discuss the concept of gzira shava and a gzira shava mufna, an empty word gzira shava, what it means. And let's just go on right away. Zag the Mishnah daf ט.א-ט.ב. Mishla chag ben devush lechag. Whoever did not bring a korban chagiga on the first day of Yontif, Chag, we hear is talking about Sukkot. Chagiga is called on regel of Yontif Achen Shel Chag, like the Rambam just said, that you can bring the Korban Chagiga the entire Yontif, including the last day of Yontif, even though it's its own Yontif. Ava regel v'loy chag, ene chayim v'chiyusay, al zanema ma'uvas liyuchal liskoin. On such a person that did not bring the entire Yontif and missed the Yontif, did not bring the Korban Chagiga, he cannot fix it, like it says in Pasuk, me'uvas liyuchal liskoin, and whatever's missing, cannot be counted. So so he cannot fix it and he cannot be counted. Shimon ben Manasseh, another Shimon ben Manasseh adds, he doesn't disagree with the Tanakama, he adds his own piddush to Me'uvas. Me'uvas also could include what is something something that you do wrong that you cannot fix? Someone has a relationship with an elva, with a woman he's not allowed to marry, and he has a child. This mamza is going to be sticking out. It's going to be there, and this is something he cannot fix. And we know the famous story that is brought down in the lessons in Tanya, or the Shema Sefer Tanya, with the story with the Yosef, the Balagola, right? That there was a Yosef that he went. Т.א.т.ב told him he should become a Balagola. He was a dove. Т.א.т.b taught him to become a Balagola, and eventually he basically brought a guy back. He had made a guy do tshuva, and that guy, he had a child from a Goya, and he did tshuva, cried, and he was told that the Goya and the child passed away. And it was like that thing that with tshuva, me'ahava, you could fix. That's I think that's what they bring down in the lessons in Tanya as an example for that he could with a rabba with a tshuva gedola, what's it called? You could fix it. But in any case, whether the mamza is something that you cannot change. Tosfos on this spot over here, top Tosfos asks a very simple question: why is he only bringing mamza? Why is he only bringing the story of someone marrying? Someone that you're not allowed to marry, and the child is going to be a mamzer bastard. Why is he only bringing that example? If someone kills someone, you can get punished. You can pay koifer, whatever punishment you're going to get for someone if it's b'shoig, let's say, but you cannot fix it. You can never bring back the person that was killed. Same thing also with stealing. So Tosfos says, the top Tosfos, tvei boishtoi. Why is he using this? Number one is because boishtoi, the embarrassment is much bigger, much greater by someone that's going around and say, this is the father of this mamza, this bastard. So the embarrassment is much more revealed. You can see that he's embarrassed. But the other avelos, ritzeach, v'gazlan, and edu fanav. But the ritzeach and the gazlan, it's true. It's true. It's not negating the fact that the ritzeach cannot bring back. But it's the reason why the Mishnah is bringing this, because it wants to bring the proof that is something that cannot be fixed, because everyone is going to know about it. The Masha says Gazlan, it's actually not true. If someone steals, you have a way to fix it. You can just give it back. The Heishiv is a gzela, Shagazal. The pasuk says clearly it's a lav, Shanitag le'esa, it's a lav, and there's an esa that can fix it. What's the esa? Return it.
So passed away.
What?
Person could have passed
so
away.
So you give it to the kids.
You didn't fix it without that.
So it's the Mashal brings a different thing. There's something called the gzela danabim. If you stole from many people and you don't know who to return now, and Taket says if you stole from many people and don't know return, you're stuck. I don't know what it says the Tekana is, but it's Mashal says that technically could have been included. But the reason why, again, what Tosfos is saying, the reason why we only mentioning Ga'elva and Amamzer, because that's visible. Everyone can see the embarrassment. It's a visible thing. Anyway, Zag the Mishnah weiter. Im toima v'goyne v'goyzel. The Mishnah is saying that if you want to say about someone that steals or someone that robs, yochel achzir v'taken, he can fix it up and bring it back. So basically, the Tosfos is saying that according to what the Gemara says, the Marsha is saying that the Mishnah is already saying that you shouldn't mention goyzel and the goynef, but the Marsha is saying maybe the Mishnah could have included the goynef and goyzel because we're talking someone that steals from the public. So then the Mishnah could have included, but the Mishnah says no. This is something that there's ways of returning it. In any case, Shimon adds another thing. In koyin mu'uves and misha mitukon. You can mu'uves is something that's crooked. Someone that is straight and becomes crooked, you call him crooked. If someone is crooked milakatchila, from the get-go he's crooked. You don't call him a guy that's crooked because there's nothing. He was never straight to be called crooked. So who can he call someone that is me'uvas that went off his way? He was okay, he was good, but chila. And he became crooked. Who is that? A Talmud Chacham person. So Hashem adds an additional thing that yes, someone that doesn't bring a korban is called a me'uvas. He cannot fix it. Someone that's married with an elva and he has a child, a bastard, also. But an additional real me'uvas is someone a Talmud Chacham. It's a loftier thing, a Talmud Chacham that was a Talmud Chacham, and then he went on his own way. A punishment of him.
But he can't return.
So that I didn't have time to look into it because l'chayda here a guy could return. So I did not. Obviously, we're probably talking about someone that is.
In a bit of Torah, they can never make up.
Yeah, it could be that, or it could also be that.
Somebody told me better bittul Torah than no Torah.
Besser build something. But maybe it's also talking about someone that basically left and is not returning.
It doesn't say Eza Humuvas She'ini Achaliskus.
It says Humuvas. Yeah, it's Humuvas.
That's how you can't fix it.
Yeah, so yeah, it could be. So that's the Mefashim on the spot does not the Mashal. The Mefashim on the Gemara don't speak about it. They don't even mention it. So I didn't have a chance to look into it. But yeah, it's something interesting. So I think about how do we know that you can do tashlumim? That the concept of tashlumim making up the Korbanos exists? How do you know that? Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Shmuel, Lema atzeres b'shvi shel Pesach. It says the word atzeres during shvi shel Pesach. Atzeres hu lochem. Atzeres l'Hashem elikecha. It says you hold back and stay with another yontif for the Eibishter. V'nema atzeres b'shmini shel Chag. And it says atzeres, stay back, withhold yourself in the malachas, whatever it is, atzeres b'shmini shel Chag by Yisukas. So it's Gzera Shava. And just like Malahan Tashlum, we know already by Sukkot, we know already that there is a concept of Tashlum. Afkan Tashlum also here by Pesach, and the same thing with Shavuos. It's a limit that we learn somewhere else. You can do Tashlum, but here the Gemara wants to just bring out the Gzera Shava, and the big thing what we want to teach you is a klal. There's something called Gzera Shava Mufna. So there's a Gemara in. I forgot I didn't write down the source. The Gemara, if you go in the page here. The Amr of Yudah Mashmuel, Mishum B'Shmuel, called Gzera Shava She'ena Mufna called Ikad Ein Lemedin Mena. Mufna means that a word is not used. Mufna means it's pono, it's empty. If you look on the pasuk and a word is extra, it's redundant, then you can use that for a Gzera Shava. So Gzera Shava has two psukim that two words need to be redundant. That's called a Gzera Shava Mufna Shnei Tzadim. Two sides, both of them are Mufna. Then there's a Gzera Shava, which one side is Mufna, one pasuk is empty, is not there, the word's not being used for anything. The other pasuk that you use the same Gzera Shava, that word is used for something else. You can still learn, but now you also have the power to upshlag. You can counter that Gzera Shava and say that's maybe not true. And then if there's a Gzera Shava, both words are being used for something else, we don't learn such a Gzera Shava. So any Gzera Shava that both words at all they're being used for something else in the maiden money, you cannot use it as a Gzera Shava. In general, there's a rule: Gzera Shava is not something me and you can make up. Gzera Shava is something that has to come down with Kabbalah. We can't just make up our own Gzera Shavas. But if you want to know klal which Gzera Shavas work or not, which Gzera Shavas don't, if the word that you're using, this word is similar to this word in these two different psukim, if these two words are used for something else, you cannot learn that as a Gzera Shava. Mufna mitzad echad, meaning one pasuk has a word that is extra, the other pasuk, that word is not extra, but you can still do a Gzera Shava. So Rabbi Shmuel lemeidin ve'im meshivin. Rabbi Shmuel says you can learn and you cannot counter it, you cannot knock it down. Like Rabbanan, that's the halacha lemeidin meshivin. You can learn the Gzera Shava, but also then someone else can say, look, I have a pasuk, I have this, I can counter it, and it's not going to work. Mufna mishnei tzadim. If both psukim have a word that these two words are not used for anything, then that is a solid, strong Gzera Shava. Everyone agrees that you can use the Gzera Shava, you cannot upshlag, you cannot knock it down. And there's a few different opinions in Gemara for the other things, but when it comes to Mufna Mishnei Tzadim, both sides are empty. That is called the Gzera Shava Mufna, and such a Gzera Shava is, you cannot knock it down. So the Shmuel says, I go back in the Gemara. Shmuel says, it says that Tzeres in Shvi Shel Pesach, and it says B'Shemini of Sukkos. Zog the Gemara, Ma'ala Tashlumim, just like Sukkos. We know that we can bring Tashlum until the last day of Yom Tov, including Atzeres, Shemini Atzeres. Afkan let Tashlum also Pesach. You can bring a Korban Tashlum and make up Korban until the last day of Pesach. Zog the Gemara, Mufna. This Gzera Shava is a Gzera Shava Mufna. I have to say it's a Gzera Shava Mufna because I have a counter to such a Gzera Shava. The ilav Mufna, if you wouldn't say that this Gzera Shava is Mufna, meaning an empty Gzera Shava, there's no, the psukim are not used for anything, I can knock it down. How? You can't learn Shvi Shel Pesach from Sukkot because Shvi Shel Pesach, the 7th day of Pesach is the same Yontav as the first days of Pesach. It doesn't change. We know that the 2nd day of Pesach, it's not its Yontav by itself, it's just a continuation of Pesach. So the day before the 7 days is Chol HaMoed Pesach, the next day is just a Yontav, but the concept is almost the same. she'kein cholog mishalafonov. Toim b'shmini. What do you say by shmini shel chag? Shecholog mishalafonov. The Erev Yontiv of Shmini Atzeres is Chol HaMoed. Next day is an entirely different Yontiv. What's the entire different Yontiv? So Rashi says is a word, a mnemonic. Mishavon le'inyan Pazar Kashab. What's Pazar Kashab? So it says in the Gemara that Yontiv Achna Shel Chag is Pazar, the pace, Pais La'atzmoy. You count the Kehanim. Zman La'atzmoy, Regel La'atzmoy. It's its own Yontiv. It's Shechiyonu. It's a Kolban. It's his own song. A Blach La'atzmoy. He makes his own Kolban. Shmini Atzeres Chag Hazeh. So Shmini Atzeres is a very different Yontiv. So now Shmini Atzeres is its own Yontiv. You cannot learn. The Gzeira Shava would be knocked down in this way because here by Atzeres, by Shmini Atzeres, the Atzeres is an entirely different concept. But Mashenken Pesach, it's not. It's continuation of the Pesach. So this would be, you would take away the Gzeira Shava. So that's why I have to say that this Gzeira Shava is a mufna, because the Gzeira Shava mufna we just saw, a mufna Gzeira Shava you cannot knock down. Even though yes, technically you can say that it's taka different yontif, but because it's a Gzeira Shava, and it's a Gzeira Shava we makabel ish mipi ish, we received it from our teachers, or received from our teachers, that Gzeira Shava sticks and it's good. So just like Sukkot, you can make up all the Korbanos until the end of Sukkot. Same way also Pesach, you can make up the Korbanos until the end of Pesach. And with the Gemara weiter, Loi taka true be'emes, afnui mufna, it's empty, it's a mufna Gzeira Shava. Because why is it taka mufna? He's telling you, mich di mai atzeres. What does the word atzeres mean? Otzum basis melacha. Atzeres means withholding from doing any melacha. You don't need a word atzeres for that. You know already that on the last days of Yontev it says lesasim melacha, don't do any work. Atzeres means don't do work. Lesasim melacha means don't do work. One of them is redundant. So atzeres is redundant by both, by Pesach, and it's redundant by Sukkot, and because they're both redundant, it's called a Gzeira Shava Mufna. Because of Gzeira Shava Mufna, you can use it. The A Meshivin, you cannot knock it down. Okay? So Atzeres the cause of Echmonu Lomeli, and the Shema Minah Le'afnuye. They come to teach us. It's come to teach you Gzeira Shava Mufna from both sides. It's a solid, strong Gzeira Shava, and you cannot knock it down. That is what Rabbi Yochanan, which was an Amoyla, he said the name of Rabbi Shmuel. The Gemara says that the Tana, apparently the Tana Mishnah, he learns it from a different source. He learns it not from the Gzeira Shava, from a pasuk, and where the Rambam brings down the pasuk, actually not the Gzeira Shava. The Tanya, it says in a pasuk. It says in a place. I saw it says in a place that if it's a Gzeira Shava Mufna, the Gzeira Shava is so strong, it is as if it has a clear pasuk written in the Torah. That's how strong Gzeira Shava Mufna ben Shteit Zodim is. It's so strong that it's considered just like a pasuk in the Torah. So Tana Ma'asim Ha'ara, the pasuk, the Tana from the Mishnah brings it straight from a pasuk. The Tana says in the Blaisa, "V'chagoysim oisei chag l'Hashem." You should have the festivities oisei chag l'Hashem shivas yom, 7 days. Yochel echoy givoylech kol shiva, that you should technically every day of Yontif should be a Yontif. Tamad lema oisei. No, the Yontif is only the first day. That's the Yontif. But the Chagiga, the festivities, can be called Shiva. Why does it say Shiva? Because yes, I'm going to consider it as a makeup Korbanos. How do we know that if you didn't bring the Korban Chagiga the first day of Yontif, you can go through the entire Yontif? This is on Sukkot. On the 7th month, you can have the festivities. You can bring the Korban Chagiga. If it's as a Chodesh Shvi, technically the entire 7th month, the entire month of Tishrei you can bring Korbanos. It's basically Oisai is teaching us that day. Shivas Yom tells you that in that month, during 7 days, you can bring a Korban Chagiga, but outside of those 7 days, that not. So Oisai, that day. Oisai Shivas Yom means that day for 7 days you can make it up, but that it is in the month of the 7th month, but not that you can do the entire 7th month.
That's Gzeira Shava?
No. Again, the Tana does not use Gzeira Shava. The Tana brings the pasuk. The Tana, it says the Tana of the Mishnah. In our Mishnah it says, the Mishnah started that whoever didn't bring the Korban Chagiga the first day can bring it till the last day, including the last Yontif.
Why doesn't he agree with the Gzeira Shava?
I don't know why it doesn't agree with the Gzeira Shava. It doesn't say it. It doesn't say here. It says that the Tana brings it from a different place. The B'Yochanan was an Amoyla, so it brings it from the Tana, brings it from a different place. And again, it could be that many times you can learn from different places. The next thing the Gemara should have asked, then Abazoi, what's the Bechina going to do with the pasuk of Chaysim Oisai? Okay, but the Gemara doesn't go into that. In any case, this is so the Bechina learns from Gzera Shava. The Tana in our Mishnah learns it from a pasuk straight out of pasuk, and the Gemara goes weiter. Umay Tashlum. What exactly is Tashlum? What exactly is Tashlum? Zak the Gemara. Abechina says Tashlum in Rishon. It is making up for the first day. The first day is the main thing, and now we're only going to make up for the first day. Each day can complete the day before. If the first day didn't bring it, the entire obligation shifts over to the second day. If you didn't do the second day, the obligation shifts over to the third day. But it's not just for the first day. Basically, you didn't do it, you have another chance, you have another chance, you have another chance. Yes, you have to try to bring it on the first day, but if you didn't do it, the chances just move over, the days move over. My banai, what a difference does it make? Whether it's this or that, you can bring it up. You can make up the carbon. A very interesting difference. Chagiga b'yom rishon. If we're talking about someone that was limping on the first day, or he wasn't hearing on the first day, when he spashet and he straightened out, everything was fine. So the first day he was limping. We learned already that if someone limped, there's no chiyuv of going up, there's no chiyuv of kam chagiga, there's no chiyuv of oilazriya. It doesn't have a chiyuv. So on the first day you don't have a chiyuv. On the second day he is good. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's a shuman l'rishayin. You make up. The first day you never had a chiyuv, you never had an obligation, you never have to make it up. According to Rabbi Aishia, that things just move over. First day you couldn't do it, the second day you could do it. So according to Rabbi Aishia, you're just going to say the same thing also technically with a mitzvah. Someone becomes a mitzvah, the change would be lesser because a mitzvah boy has a chiyuv, it's a chinuch to go up early, but when does he get a chiyuv midadaisa? According to Rabbi Yochanan, if he becomes a mitzvah the second day of Yontif, he doesn't have to bring another kalba midadaisa. According to Rabbi Yochanan, he would, technically. And so it could be many other examples, but that's the difference whether you are just making up the first day. So if the first day you had a chiyuv, you can make it up for another 7 days. If the first day you didn't have a chiyuv, don't make it up. Rabbi Yochanan says no, every day it's its own thing. My benaya, it's to make up for the first day. Because he wasn't able to, he didn't have any obligation to bring the korban on the first day. That's it. He doesn't have to do it on the second day. Or the chazah could mean he needed not to be seen. 1 day makes up for the day before. Even though he was not able to bring it on the first day, he could bring it on the second day, so he's fine. So here, it's just there's an interesting Tosis. Tosis brings here and Kivan the Chazab. He brings a Tzadach Iyun. He doesn't answer. He brings a question, which is trying to turn things upside down. That's it. Tosis. Kivan the Chazab B'Shein. Tosis here, fourth Tosis from the top, third Tosis from the bottom. Tzadach Iyun. What happens the opposite? Here we said that the guy was limping on the first day, and then he became straightened out on the second day. What if the opposite? What if the first day he was good? He was walking, everything fine. He couldn't make it to the Beis Hamikdash. Come second day, he's in an accident, breaks his legs, he can't walk. He had a chiyuv the first day. Do we say go up anyways to the Beis Hamikdash? But now he doesn't. Now if it would be now, he wouldn't have a chiyuv. He can't walk. Or do we say no, because now you have a broken foot, you don't have to bring a korban? Do we go by if it's the Shlomo edition? We would technically say that you missed the first day. The first day you had a chiyuv, you missed it. We don't look at what's now, so go and bring it. Or you say no, even though you missed it, according to Rabbi Yishai, technically it would be the first day you couldn't come. Fine, second day, now you can come. Now you're not mechuyev. Doctor says, if he was doing fine the first day, everything was straight. But he turns into a chiga, he turns into a limping guy on the second day. And do we say, because he has a chiyuv on the first day, we don't take away the chiyuvs, and even though he's a cripple now and he's walking funny and he is limping, he should still bring the korban. Even though now you cannot bring a korban. Or maybe Kivan the tashlum zelazeh, according to Rabbi Yishe, because it's making up every day, Rabbi Yishe lemichayev, because today is not, doesn't have a chiyuv. So he doesn't bring an answer. But or even in the Rabbi Yishe we can argue, now he's not about chiyuv, so he shouldn't bring because he can't bring, he could not be brought. He couldn't bring he can't bring a carbon because he cannot go up. Doesn't have to bring a carbon. So basically, Taisa stays with the tzarachiyun. We don't know what the answer to that is, but it's an interesting tzarachiyun. If someone was doing fine the first day, broke his foot in the second day, and he didn't go up in the similar the first day, what do you do? So basically, we just said the difference is that Rabbi Yochanan said that because the subsequent days of Yontif is to make up the first day, therefore, if you did not have the chiyuv on the first day, you never have to make it up. The Gemara is going to ask a few interesting questions, and basically the questions are going to be, we see from other places that Rabbi Yochanan says that even though he has a chiyuv already, to bring a carbon, but he can't bring a carbon now, and we say bring a carbon the next day, we see that the concept exists that if you have a chiyuv, according to what we just said now is, we just said now that Rabbi Yochanan said that if he did not have a chiyuv on the first day, if on the second day now he has the chiyuv, he doesn't have to bring the carbon. We're going to bring a few proofs to see that Rabbi Yochanan says that even though he doesn't have a chiyuv on the first day, the chiyuv only starts the next day. He still has to bring a carbon, which is basically contradicting to what Rabbi Yochanan says here. So that's the Gemara. Zakt die Gemara. Mi Ama Rabbi Yochanan hachi. Did Rabbi Yochanan say that? Va'ama Chizkiya said, Nitma Mechlekes Chizkiya and Rabbi Yochanan by a nozel Nitma b'yoyim maybe balayla and maybe. Let's look into the papers because this comes into Nazilis. So here, a few psukim in Nazilis. Pasuk Tes says, "V'chiyomus meis olav has to be some." If someone was a nazir and he grew his hair and he didn't drink wine, and the pasuk says if someone died suddenly in him, hesapisem v'timeilosh, and he had to be metame himself because he had to bury him. So v'timeilosh nizoi v'gila choyshe b'mterasa. So he has to go through a purification process. He has to be 7 days purifying himself, and then b'yem hashvi galchen on the 7th day he shaves his hair. That's 7 days. 7th at night, which is the night of the 8th, he goes to the mikveh. And then he has to have shemesh, he has to wait till the next morning. And on the 8th day, you can bring a carbon, a carbon. And the pasuk continues, basically that the first days, he said, if he said I'm a nazir for 30 days, if he said that, and all of a sudden in the middle, he became tamei, the first count doesn't count. He has to restart the count. That's what the third pasuk of says. But the idea is here that the 7th at night he is considered tahir. He goes to the mikveh. All he's missing is a korban. On the 8th day, he brings the korban. What happens if he becomes tamei again between those 2 days? So the nazir, we know that if he for example, if he becomes a nazir on the a nazir stays a nazir even if he becomes tamei. Just like Shabbos, if he chazon Shabbos b'chal Shabbos, doesn't mean he can be b'chal Shabbos again. But a nazir, if he becomes tamei and has to break his nazirus, what happens if he becomes tamei a day later? And then he has to count again 7. He has to count 7 days. How many korbanos does he bring? He has to bring a korban for the each time becomes tamei. But if the tamei is within that same time period, then he brings one korban for all his tumas. You bring one korban. It doesn't make a difference how many times he becomes tamei. He has to bring a korban for each tumah, but he can bring one korban and he'll be fine. So the Gemara is going to bring a question: what happens if he becomes tamei 7th at night? Is it considered part of the earlier ones? Is it considered part of the first tumah and he brings only one korban, or because he already was toivel, he's already considered his purification process is almost finished? Is it considered the second one? And I used to sit another 7 days. Obviously, I have to sit another 7 days. But does he have to bring 2 korbanos when he becomes toivel? So there's a machlokes Chizkiya and Rabbi Yochanan. So the Gemara says, "V'amar Chizkiya nitma b'yoyim." If he becomes tamei, the 8th day. The 8th day, everyone agrees because he went through the night, he went to the mikveh, and everything is just about to bring the korban. It's considered a new tamei process. Maybe it brings an additional korban. Balayla, if he becomes tamei at night, maybe he doesn't bring another carbon, he brings the original carbon. He has to wait another 7 days, and then brings one carbon for those 2 tumas. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, af balayla nama maybe. At the night, if he becomes tummy after he goes to mikvah, he has to bring another carbon, he has to bring 2 carbon because he became tummy twice. So here we see, Rabbi Yochanan says, the guy finished his process of becoming pure on the 7th day. So at night comes, he goes to the mikvah. At night, we can't bring a carbon. He can only bring a carbon the next day. Still, we consider it as someone that is finished. So if he becomes tummy, Rabbi Yochanan says, you're going to have to bring another carbon. Right? Why does it say that? Because the carbon that he brings on the 8th day can be considered tashlumin for the first day. For the shlumin for the first night, for the night before. The night before, he has no chiyuv of carbon yet. The chiyuv of carbon only comes the next day. He finished his purification process. He does not have a chiyuv of carbon because he can't bring in carbon. The next day he has the chiyuv of carbon. Yet still, Rabbi Yochanan says, because he anyways he finished his purification process, the carbon that he brings is only a tashlumin of the night before, is making up for the night before. So we see that if someone has no chiyuv at night, he still has to bring the carbon the next day. And not only 1 carbon, he has to bring 2 carbonos now. Again, the Gemara until now said with Chagiga, that if the guy was limping on the first day of Pesach, of Shavuos, of Sukkot, and the second day he's doing fine, even though he doesn't have a chiyuv on the first day, Rabbi Yochanan says no, he doesn't have to bring another carbon. In this Nazir and Tumah, it says even though the guy has no chiyuv of carbon yet, if he becomes tamei, he has to bring another carbon. Why? Because the carbon is at the shlomim of the day before, and it's considered the purification process is almost finished, and now you become tummy, it's a new tumah, it's a new becoming impure, and therefore you have to bring 2 karbanos. So again, Rabbi Yochanan here says that although you do not have a chiyuv the night to bring a carbon, it is considered like you're gonna make up that carbon the next day, so therefore if you become tummy, you're gonna bring 2 karbanos. So Rabbi Yochanan says, even though you don't have a chiyuv now to bring a carbon, there's a tashlum to make up for that carbon. So same thing the Gemara is asking, apply the same logic here as well. Even though the person was limping on the first day of Yontif, but he has no chiyuv of carbon than the first day. Second day he's not limping, he should bring a carbon, just like Nazir. Nazir, that if night he has no chiyuv of carbon, and next day he has a chiyuv of carbon. Yeah? Better?
Can you just say...
What?
When he got better, the first day was already over. So it wasn't any period in the first day that he was better, seemingly.
Correct, so there was no chiyuv on the first day. That's
Right.
exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same. There was already a period that he was mechuyev.
Yeah, so it is here, the Gemara is going to play around with that, because the Gemara is obviously going to say this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to say. That's technically what the Gemara the Papa is going to answer, similar to that. What the Gemara is trying to learn until now is that by a nazir at night you don't have a chiyuv of carbon, yet he still is going to become tamei. Why? A second time. Why? And it's not going to be counted as the first time because it's over. That time is over. So even though you don't have a chiyuv of carbon, now would be counted new, and you would be mechuyev another carbon to make up the next day or in 7 days. Basically, the idea is that even though you're not mechuyev yet a carbon, you have the concept of tashlum. That's what the Gemara wants to bring out. So the Gemara says maybe even night you also bring. Why? Because you have the concept of bringing the carbon the next day. That is considered tashlumim. Even though you were not mechuyev at night to bring the carbon, you can bring the carbon the next day. So we see that there is, even though you're not chayiv, you're not obligated to bring a carbon, you could make it up. So the Gemara is asking, why don't you apply the same logic here? And even though the person was limping on the first day, you should be able to bring a carbon on the second day. Rabbi said that. Do not bring proof from Tumah, because by Tumah, even Rabbi Yochanan agrees there's tashlum you can make up. By Korbanos of Yontif is something else. By Chagiga, by limping is something else. Tumah is different. Why do we see that Tumah is different? Because we have the concept of carbon Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni is making up of the first Pesach, according to some opinions. And because it's making up the first Pesach, why did they allow it? Because of Tumah. So when you see the entire Tumah has its own category. When we're talking about someone becoming Tumah impure, we know that the concept of Tashlum exists. Sheni Tuma has the concept of making up, so therefore he also by Nazir, when we talk about Tuma, yes, Rabbi Yochanan agrees, yes, you can make it up. By Chagiga, when the concept is you don't have a chiyuv because you're limping, no, Rabbi Yochanan says no. If you're limping on the first day, you don't have a chiyuv. Second day, you have a chiyuv, then you still don't bring because you've never had a chiyuv before.
What's the answer? The answer is by Tuma it's different?
Yeah, so we asked the question on Tuma of a Nazir, from Tuma of a Nazir on Chagiga. So the Gemara Abiyim says don't bring a question from Tuma because Tuma we know is Tashlumim.
Is there an issue bringing this carbon Chagiga if someone's telling me? Let's go back to the carbon Chagiga.
Yeah.
Someone's telling me there's an issue.
Chagiga is not brought when it's someone's
So
tongue.
what would Rabbi Yochanan say? The person was telling me what would he hold?
On Pesach, yeah, Pesach Sheni.
No, not the carbon Pesach.
What
would he hold about the carbon Chagiga? The person was telling me on day 1.
So maybe yeah. Then it maybe
Yeah,
technically
like he was old.
he would say you make it up.
So make it up what? Next day when you're not telling me?
Yeah. The choyle.
Okay. He has to.
Yes, because it's the shlum. Yeah. The choyle.
I think that's the last Tesis' question, no?
Yeah, you're right. The last test question. My teacher had a difficulty. Was holding if he was Tom on the first day, in the second day he's not Tom anymore. In Cain, Leimelelta says asking in the beginning of our Gemara, we should say different. If that's the case, the Gemara in the beginning should change something there. But Shloima the Inochinami, Takachua, Abiyachan Taka agrees to that if the person is Tom on the first day, yes, you would have to bring a Kal Chagiga the second day because its Tumah is different. I'm sure the reason why it's not changing is because it's something else. We're not going to look into that now. But the idea is yes, the concept is yes. Thank you for bringing it up. Yes, the truth is, Rabbi Yochanan Kal Chagiga. If you're Tommy on the first day and you can bring a Kal Chagiga or Kal Chagiga, you could make it up.
So Friedman would be proud of him, no?
It was then. It's then, no. Malahal then Mishamis, huh? You have an issue?
So then is he not holding the same as Rabbi Hoshea?
So in this case, yes, because Tumah is different. That's the idea of what Rabbi is bringing. But Tumah, it's a different concept because when it comes to impurity, we know the Eibusha said that you can make it up. But when it comes to limping and the other things that only have to do with Oila Zri'iyah, and that's with Yontif, first Yontif, that's not. So Papa asks another question. Okay, Maseches Chagiga asks another question. This is all good. To the one that said that Pesach Sheni is Tashlumin L'Rishon is to make up for the first day. So if it's making up for the first day, Tumah, if here we learn, when it comes to Tumah and making up, yes, by Tumah there is a concept of Tashlumin. According to the Mandama, and that's the halacha, the Rambam brings the halacha, and I brought the printout here. The Rambam Pesach, Perek Hey, halacha Aleph, says very clearly, when someone was Tameh, you cannot bring, you checked for him. He was Shagiga, and he didn't bring a Korban Pesach on the first Yontif. As Shechet Pesach Shechet Sheni, he brings a Korban Pesach on the second, on Pesach Sheni, Ben Abayim. Shchitas Pesach Zeh, mitzvah es v'shnatz, it's an entirely own mitzvah, it's not Tashlumin. V'doiches a Shabbos, and because of that you can push away Shabbos, you can bring it on Shabbos if your doubt falls out on Shabbos. She'ein Hashem Tlumin L'Rishon, el regel b'fnei atzmi, clearly it's not to make up, it's its own Yontif. The Yontif is only applicable if you couldn't bring the first line. If you did bring, the Yontif doesn't apply to you. But if you didn't bring, then the Yontif applies to you. So according to that, the Yirmiyah answered that Tumah is different because Tumah we know Tashlumin. So that whole answer goes down. Now we know the Pesach Sheni is not Tashlumin. So what's the answer going to be? We see Rabbi Yochanan says by Nazir, he says that even though the person does not have a chiyuv, you could have Tashlumin. And here in our Gemara, the Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan said that if the guy does not have a chiyuv on the first day, he does not make it up. So the Papa brings a different explanation on Rabbi Yochanan, a different explanation of Yochanan. Ella Omer Papa.
Is Chayiv Koros?
If he doesn't come on the second time, for
the first time in the other Yom Tovs, is not.
It's also Chayiv Koros.
It says that he can't make it up. It's right. It doesn't say 5 cars in the halachas we learn.
For Pesach, if you don't bring a korban Pesach on the first Yontif, on purpose, you purposely didn't bring your 5 cars.
Here it's saying
It's also the second time.
It says it's you said it's more.
The few chayv call goes on. That's why. Sorry. So what are you asking?
It seems more strong with some Pesach Sheni than.
No, it's the Yontif Rishon also chayv. You also chayv goes. It's the same. I don't know if the few chayv goes on if you miss the first time and you don't miss the second time. Anyways, it's high. There's a chiyuv of kodesh, but basically Pesach Sheni, according to halacha, is not a tashlum. It's not a making up. It's not making up. It is its own yontif that is only applies if you didn't. If that yontif kicks in only if you didn't bring the first yontif for the reasons that you were allowed to not bring. So Michael if according to that mandam that Pesach Sheni is not to make up its own yontif. What are you going to answer now? Why doesn't Rabbi Yochanan say that even though you were not able to bring a korban on the first day of Yontif, you should be able to bring the second day? Rabbi Yochanan says that at night, what's the reason by nozel? At night, if you become tamei, you have to bring a second korban, because even though that the korban is only brought on the 8th day, that period of time is not considered missing time. That you finished your purification process. The fact that you bring the korban tomorrow is a different thing, but you finished your purification process. So that is why, not because the tashlumim the next morning the korban is tashlum. No, you're done. You're 7 the night you went to mikveh, you're done. Come tamei, it's a new tumah. Why? Because lav mechus zman. It's not missing any time from the korban. To bring the korban. It's a technical thing. You can't bring a korban at night, you bring it in the morning, but it's not that tashlum.
It's like giving a present to thank you.
So what?
It's like giving a present. So once you actually passed that time and you went to the mikveh,
Yeah.
this is like a thing of gratitude just to give the korban. So it really doesn't have anything
Correct.
to do with the.
It's a mechatos, a osham,
Right.
whatever to forgive. But basically, Rechanan says that at night it's not that the next morning korban is. At night, you already have a chiyuv of korban. The only thing is, it's a time thing. You can't bring korban night, bring it tomorrow. But laf, because man, you already have a chiyuv of korban. You just can't do it now. You'll bring it tomorrow. So the Gemara is going to ask on that also. The Rabbi Yochanan say that night, the concept of night is that he has a chiyuv already. He's just missing that he can't bring the korban until the next day. So now we're going to go into the whole thing of zav and of the korbanos of zav. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan. Let's look inside here. I made a summary of the halachas here in English, in my English obviously. So I'll explain that zav is a very difficult sugya, especially that nowadays we do not even have the concept of zav, and we don't know how to differentiate between zav, between an emission that we see that is considered a mission of zav, or shechva zera, or we call it kedi. So how it goes is like this: if a person sees an emission, if he sees it one time, he considers it a kedi or shechva zera, that he saw an emission of seed of semen. If he sees it twice, 2 times, either it's in one day or it's in day after day, then he would be considered a zav, but not a zav gamal. He would be considered a zav. There's no korban. He doesn't bring a korban, but he has to wait 7 days to go in mikvah, and then he's good. If he sees it 3 times, either day after day, or in one day or day. But either in 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, but it's basically within 3 days he sees it. Zav is a zav gamul. He's considered a zav gamul, which means he has to bring a korban on the 8th day. So now he has to wait 7 days for purity. At night he goes to the mikvah. He has to wait until the morning, which is called halav shemesh, and bring a korban on the 8th day. If while he counts the 7 days of purity, he has to be fully pure. If during the 7 days he sees an emission of shechva zera, and the Rambam explains, the Gemara says, the difference you can tell. Back in the days, they were able to tell the difference between shechva zera and zav, and a zav emission. If he sees such an emission during the 7 days, he doesn't take away his count. He doesn't have to restart his count. He skips the count for that day, and he starts, let's say on day 3, he sees an emission. So on that day, he doesn't count. The next day, which would have been the 4th day, he starts counting 3. He starts 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is called Iya She'ena Soiser. He sees something, but it's not Soiser. It doesn't break down the count of 7 days. If he sees a Zav emission, then he starts recounting 7 days. And that's called the Iya She'soiser. Now, if he sees the Iya She'soiser, let's say we said that a Zav Gomad, in order to be Mechuyev Korban, you have to see 3 times. If he only saw, let's say Sunday he saw and Monday he saw, so now he's a Zav, but he doesn't have to bring a Korban. He starts counting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday he sees another Zav. Do we count it as number 3 and now he's Mechuyev Korban or not? So the Iya She'soiser you cannot combine. If you saw 2 times, then it starts counting. Then it sees the 3rd time, it's not Mechuyev, it's a new count, it starts anew. If he saw 3, let's say if he saw 3 times, he's Mechuyev Korban now. He counts 7 days. And then he sees another 3 times. That is its own set. If he saw 3, he's counting 7 days on the night of the 8th. If it's on the night of the 8th, so the 7 at the end, he brings only 1 Korban, and that is Halacha Moshe Messinai, that even though it's 3 times that he saw Zav, a second set, it's not considered its own set of Zav, and he only brings 1 Korban for the first one. He has to wait another 7 days probably, but it's not counting as its own Korban. Now,
In one night he saw 3 times?
yeah.
Okay, so adopted.
Yeah, true. No, it's true. The halacha brings down that they're trying to find, but when it comes to Zav, they're the first thing that they wanted to define whether this came from a choili or something else, and then it doesn't make it tome. So what happens now? He saw 3 times. Okay, he has to bring a korban. And now comes the 8th, the night of the 8th, he saw once. And okay, the next morning he has to bring a korban, he sees another 2 times. So you have a set of 3. So now we combine it for another set because it's a Iya She'soiser, and now he needs to wait another 7 days to bring an additional korban. So when he becomes Tamei, he now brings 2 korbanos because he saw 1 at night and 2 by day. What is the opposite? If he sees 2 at night and 1 by day, if it's a 2 at night, 1 by day, it's interesting. It does not combine for its own set, and you only bring a korban for the first one. And the reasoning behind this is the first one is always going to be considered a shechva zera until we see a second time. That's when we make it zav. So the first one at night, it's considered shechva zera. The other 2 are connected to the first one. But if he sees 2 at night, then those 2 is technically counted with the first ones, and therefore the next day he starts a new count. So it's not a set yet. So basically, he only brings 1 korban if he sees 2 at night and 1 by day. This is the halacha. This is the halacha where it's brought down. Now the Gemara says there's a machlokas with Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says like this. So go back to the Gemara. Sorry. Rabbi Yochanan said 4 lines from the top. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Lo achas balayla." If he sees once at night, ushtayim bayayim, on the end of the purification, 7 days of purification, he sees the 8th at night. He sees once, and 2 by day. Maybe he brings an additional korban because it's another set. If it's ishtayim balayim achas bayayim, if he sees only 2 at night and 1 by day, ain't a maybe, he does not bring an additional korban. Now the Gemara is asking on the puppy. You just said that Rabbi Yochanan holds that the night he finished his thing, he technically would have brought a korban. It's lav b'chus zman, and now he would bring. If that's the concept that the night finishes and now he starts a new thing, it shouldn't make a difference when you saw 2, when you saw 1. If the night starts a new cycle, the night finishes it, then it doesn't make a difference if you saw 2 here or 2 there. As soon as night comes, the guy goes to the mikveh, the entire thing is done, and the fact the next day has to bring a korban is just a time thing, a technical thing. Then even if he sees 2 by day or 2 by night, doesn't make a difference. It should be its own set. It should be its own set. Maybe if you would say that when it comes to night, it's only missing it's not missing time, but it's only missing the korban. He's done with the whole purification process. So therefore, he should bring another korban for the second set that he just saw, the second set of 3. So
he should bring a second.
He should bring a korban, and because we say we don't, Musman Zog, the Rabbi Yochanan says that a night is not mechus. Night is mechus zman. When the night comes and he goes to mikveh, he does not yet have a chiyuv of bringing a korban, and still the next day he brings a korban. So it comes back to the first question: why by Chagiga do we say if the first day he cannot bring a korban, and the second day he straightens out, and we don't bring a carbon because he didn't have a chiyuv in the first. But by Nazir and by Keret, we see that no, that it's his new count. Why? Because the night is not completed. The morning is a tashlum of the first time. Even though you didn't have a chiyuv at night to bring a korban, the chiyuv comes later, even though you couldn't bring the night before. So, and for the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan over there by Zav, he was explaining the shit according to the opinion that says that Laila is mechutz zman. Yes, at night. Rabbi Yochanan himself agrees that Laila lav mechutz zman. And because Laila loves mechutz zman, therefore, as soon as the night hits, you're mechuyev a korban, and therefore by Zav, yes, it doesn't make a difference when you saw, you will be mechuyev another korban. By Nazir, the same thing, and the same thing also by us. The reason why he's not mechuyev, because he's not mechuyev in the first day, he can never make it up, because the night changes everything. Okay, maybe according to the opinion that Laila is mechutz zman, and he disagrees. If that's the case, then why? What is he bringing? What is he mechadish? If you go according to the opinion that says that it is mechutz zman, obviously, if you see if it's mechutz zman, if you see two by day and one by night. If it goes according to the opinion that it is mechutz zman, then what Rabbi Yochanan is saying is not a chiddush. If it is mechutz zman, then yes, it makes a difference when you see the seconds of. If you see one on the first night and two by day, you will have to bring another korban. If you see two, then you don't bring a korban. So, but it's not a chiddush. Then what is Rabbi Yochanan adding to the Gemara here? Why is he bringing it down? The reason he's bringing it down because there's another opinion that if you see the ears of Zav by day and one the ear by Laila, the opinion is that you do bring another korban. So the Gemara here does not go into it, but the Gemara in Klipsis brings the whole machlokas of Rav Shisha, Ba'idi, and Rav Yosef, whether you count it as twice or not twice. And Rav Yosef, he wants to say that according to this man Amar, he disagrees with Rav Shisha and agrees with Rav Yosef. I'm going to stop here. This is a strictly difficult Gemara, and then further on it goes a little easier. But in short, Rabbi Yochanan was explaining the Mishnah that the Mishnah. Yochanan was explaining the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that if you missed, you can't make it up. If you have no chiyuv on the first day, you cannot make it up. And all the other Gemaras make sense because he disagrees. By Nazir, it's a different thing, and by Tumo, Hitaka says that you have to bring two Korbanos. That's in short. I know it was a little difficult, but hopefully it was.